We're with David and Ruth Thomas at Coedy Wern Exmoors, and we're talking about whether Exmoors make good crosses, because there are lots of parts of their anatomy and the way they are and how they survive, which are really, really good traits to have in any horse. But do they make good crosses? Can they be crossed, or isn't it something that you normally see?
Well, they can be crossed, and people do cross them to get a larger pony or small horse for hunting, for example. Okay. And some of their wiliness and agility is useful to keep. The trouble about crossing is that they may lose their hardiness, particularly if they're crossed with a different type of animal, for example an Arab. Okay. They may well end up with a jaw that's not as functional, and a coat that's not as good at protecting them against the elements.
No, which isn't ideal at all, really.
No.
Did you say that there was a race horse that had a bit of Exmoor in?
Well, yes, there was a Derby winner, whose name eludes me at the moment, who did have quite a certain amount of Exmoor blood in him.
Oh, wow.
But, the thoroughbred Exmoor cross is quite, well, not quite widely used. It is used not infrequently, and produces quite a useful animal in that case.
So, I mean, there are lots of good things about the breed that can work with other breeds, but that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to take on the hardiness. If you cross them with an Arab or a thoroughbred, they're probably going to take on a few of those elements, aren't they? Yes,
and well, as breeders, we try to maintain the original type of Exmoor. Not all Exmoors are now bred on the moor. A number of them are like ourselves, bred up country, so-called, and in semi-domestic situations. But we always try to think that we're trying to keep up the moor type, and sometimes go back to the moor to borrow stallions or mares from that point of view. But historically, the Exmoor pony has been very little interfered with by man. Okay. For a number of reasons, partly the remoteness of Exmoor, and the breed society is proud of the fact that they represent the original ponies, as far as we can understand, of Great Britain and Northern Europe.
They did at one time turn an Arab stallion out on the moor, but that was not met with any success because the crosses, for the reasons we've explained, were not as hardy and died out in the end. But this is part of the inspection procedure, to make sure that the important traits are maintained, and therefore any evidence of white on them is taken as an indication that there may be a little bit of crossbreeding which needs to be kept out of the breed.
So, I mean, you can obviously have crossbreeds, but that means they cannot be in the Exmoor stud book, is that correct?
Well, they cannot be in section 1 of the stud book, which is the section where the breeding animals go.
Okay. But if a horse has got a bit of white on, he just goes into a different section. Is that correct?
That's right. It goes into section X.
Okay, so straight from section 1 to section X. Okay, that's fair enough.